This is the 50th anniversary of the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in 1968, the 50th anniversary. What is probably not being mentioned is that it is also the 50th anniversary of the first major printing show of the modern era that occurred in the same building 1 month prior. In June of 1968, you had Print 68. There had been other larger printing shows. In 1959, there was a show at the New York City Coliseum, doesn't exist anymore. I went to that when I first was employed by the Mercantile Linotype Company. And then there was a West Print show, it was a regional show in 64, but that was quite small. And then 68 was a major event, 274,000 square feet, over 400 exhibitors. It was the first show of the modern era. It was the first show when we did not have hot metal typesetting equipment. It emphasized photographic typesetting and it emphasized offset lithography. This is a report that was done by Ed Blank for the show. It appeared in Printing News. Printing News had run a series of articles by Ed about the show, and they compiled them into one publication, which they sold for $6. I'm not making that up. Sold for $6. In any case, Ed Blank was a famous consultant in New York City at that time, and he did a great job summarizing the entire show. The show had been scheduled for McCormick Place for June of 1968, but 3 months before, McCormick Place burned down. There was a consumer electronics show, and a fire occurred. The building was unusable for the Print 68 show. They were able to get the amphitheater, which at that time was called the Cow Palace. It was right next to the stockyards, and at that time there was still stock in them. And it was June, and there was almost no air conditioning. So what would happen would be that the windows would open, and this rush of air would come in, and it would carry with it the odor of the stockyards, which was quite interesting. There were lines around the building. There were very few taxi cabs. There was no Uber or Lyft at that time. Getting to and from the show was an issue. Parking was an issue. But it was the most exciting event I had ever gone to. Now you have to understand, I was 27 years old. I was the youngest advertising manager in the industry. And so Ed really did a great job in summarizing what was there. Photo typesetting. It was the first show not to display hot metal typesetting machines. It was the first show to have web offset presses running at the show. The largest exhibitor was not Heidelberg, it was Mealy Goss Dexter, MGD, the combination of the Mealy sheet-fed presses, the Goss offset web presses, and Dexter, which made bindery equipment. Later on, MGD would also get into photographic typesetting. In fact, I would have to say binding and finishing were the major occupiers of the most space. Every new technology was there. Some of it worked, some of it did not work. It was the first show when CompuGraphics showed low-cost photo typesetting machines. Their model 2961 sold for $7,500. It was unbelievable. They sold more than they could make. The Linotype Company emphasized their Linofilm and their Linofilm Quick machines. In fact, at Visual Graphics, we made headlining machines, and I remember setting type for the Linotype and CompuGraphic people. They needed tags to go on some of their devices because we could do that right at the show on our machines. Again, it was an unbelievable event. And of course, we now have coming up the print show in Chicago. And of course, there's a competitive show, the SGIA, which will rename itself next year. And both shows now will be aimed at the printing industry. So there's still a need for a major show every year. Many small exhibitors need that kind of exposure. Putting it in various cities, moving it around too much, I don't know if that's a great idea or not, although SGIA has been successful as a result of it. In any case, it all began because of Print 68.